What's good, everyone? This is your boy DJ Ron Cut Truth. I got the homies with me, Jay Strokes and Gibson. Man, we about to go in, man. I want to start off. There has been news, and this is official, that LaMelo Ball will be participating in the draft combine and the virtual workouts. I'm gonna start with Gibson. What is your opinion on this move? His decision to do that?
Well, it might just be like measuring, and I guess he wants to prove to teams that he's 6'8", which would higher his stock value, and teams that are willing to risk to trade up would look more to him. So I think that's for them. That's what I think. I don't.
Absolutely. What about you, Jay Strokes?
Um, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't read too much into this whole in the workout thing, but what I would believe is with all the whole Golden State may not take him, or Memphis may look to go get Wiseman. Maybe he's going to try to show, basically compete and say, hey, look, if you take these guys, you're making a mistake. I am the best player in this draft, and I'm going to come out here and show all of you why I need to be number one. So for him being the competitor he probably is, he might be doing that just to show, hey, look, I'm your guy. Pick me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I appreciate about LaMelo Ball. And what I tell people, it's not a competition with his brothers in my mind. I'm just giving props. Like I give props to Lonzo for having such a high IQ, right? LaMelo Ball has that dog in him. He's a fighter. And games, like in the NBL, there were some games where he was sporadic,
Yeah.
and you get mad about that. But later on, when the game goes on, and you see that he keeps swinging and keep being aggressive on offense, then it settles you in, and you realize, man, this kid, man, he has fight. Um, I can't wait to see what he looks like in the NBA. One thing that I want to close down this notion: the Pelicans are not going to draft or find a way to draft LaMelo Ball. I'm
Mm,
just throwing that out there.
I
What do y'all
don't.
think about that?
I'm gonna debate you on that, DJ. But I'm gonna let Jay talk about it first.
Now, I don't think they're going to get him because I don't think it's practical. Like they're what 13 right now in the draft, or 14. That's what their pick is. So to move up to get Melo where he may be, which is in the top three, they're gonna have to give up heaven and earth. And is Melo gonna be worth maybe Zion or Bi, or a whole lot more? I guess capital in the future for that. I can't. I don't see them doing that. The only way they do that is if they're gonna make some mega trade with like three or four teams, and Golden State is gonna get something, and they're gonna swing their draft pick, and maybe you move Zion and your 13th pick will be something like that. But I really don't see that happening
I,
right now. It just to me, it just doesn't make sense for the organization and where they're trying to go. And basically, what would be the point of getting Melo? What is he going to do for the team that you don't already have?
I I disagree. I think this is a perfect move. They could do it without having to give up their young, talented players. And the key player is Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is a guy they didn't want to trade in the middle of the year last year, and I was wondering this year, and I was wondering why they wouldn't do that. Then I realized I was hearing things like the Nets, the Pelicans, and the Raptors were calling Spire, were looking at him. They were the most intrigued in Mo, and this makes sense. Plus, this could also be a way to space up salary. Like, say if they trade Drew Holiday for James Johnson, 2021st, and the Brooklyn 2021st. They get enough cap space. They could trade JJ Redick to New York for Taj Gibson to open up more because Taj Gibson's. There's so many things that the Pelicans can do without giving up their most talented players and still being competitive.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and that probably could happen because I heard that in the news outlets and social media about Drew Holiday and the teams that want his services. My thing is the Pelicans. Their main problem is, like I stated multiple times on videos and Twitter, it's the stretch five, and they need a 3-and-D player in the worst way, a wing.
And
That's what they need. And you get LaMelo Ball teamed up with Lonzo, that's not going to fix everything in the tough West. It's
um,
just not.
hear me out. Hear me out. Jeremy Grant is a free agent. Aaron Baines is a free agent. There are a lot of guys who could stretch the floor, who could play a little bit of defense. Getting James Johnson allows you to have a bench wing. So I think they could add depth to this team with making a few moves and having, because JJ Redick, I mean, like, he offers no defense. They need to get rid of him. They could, look to get rid of him with the 14th pick and try to add salary space to try to get like a gifted wing young player. You know what I'm saying? I think they could do they can address what you're saying while getting LaMelo.
My only thing is, okay, you're saying we're going to move Drew. Okay, so what direction is the front office going in? Because you say, okay, they can do it and still be competitive. Well, what's competitive? Were they competitive? Were they considered competitive this year? Is this where we're going with the team? Because if you're going to say we're going to go get LaMelo, where does LaMelo push us as far as championship growth, development, and acquisition? It's one thing if you say LaMelo is going to be LeBron James and they'll be in title contention within the next 2 years with LaMelo. It's another thing to sit here and say, okay, we're going to go get LaMelo and develop him for 2-3 more years, and then we're going to push for title. Because that's one of the issues I had with the Pels this year. It was kind of inconsistent. Okay, yeah, we want to go and try to get into the playoffs and do that, but at the same time, we kind of want to develop players. Okay, so where are we going with this? Are we going to trade Drew and we're just going to say, okay, we're going to spend the next year or so developing these guys? Or are we going to trade Drew and we're actually trying to get into the playoffs? What's it going to be?
I'm going to say this right now. I think the Pelicans would be better with Drew out of the team. And not even LaMelo. I'll tell you why. Drew Holiday made it really hard for BI to get like the ball in the fourth. Drew Holiday in his bad games was a big detriment to the Pelicans. Like, he was inconsistent. Plus his contract's almost up, so he might just go to a competitor. So this isn't like we just want to not be competitive. You could still get pieces like a Jeremy Grant, like an Aaron Baines, who could be the starting big man or the bench big man. Derek Favors keeps being bad. Like, it allows for you to have more space to operate because BI is the closer. Zion is the closer. Drew Holiday doing some crazy bunch of dribble moves, taking the clock out with 1 minute and 25 seconds and taking a fadeaway jumper over LeBron James. I don't want to ever see that again. I don't want to see Frank Jackson, Etuan Moore on the court anymore. So adding more players is better for the Pelicans longer term.
Yeah, what the Pelicans got to do, and I'm gonna give this analogy like DeMarco Irvin back in the day. He said that with the Cowboys before they won championships, they had a list of all the players that need to get out, that are not part of the team, that are not doing what the team needs, and kick their ass out the team. That's what the Pelicans got to do. They got to kick Etuan Moore's ball hogging ass out the team. They got to. Slow-footed Jaleel Okafor, he got to be out the team. Frank Jackson, Mr. Speedy Gonzalez, got to go. Tunnel vision. You got to get all those tunnel vision players out and surround the Pelicans with 3-and-D players. Can you imagine Brandon Ingram, Lonzo, and even Zion? Just, they know that if they pass it out on the wings, that there's a shooter in every corner. That makes a difference, and that prevents ball stagnation.
And I also say the reason why I brought up Melo is if he performs well enough, you could have, and I know this is going to sound crazy, Lonzo could still play more than 30 minutes, but he could then come off the bench. And I know this sounds crazy, but if you have playmaking and no crazy turnovers for the whole game, which was their problem when they sat Lonzo down on the bench, that allows for the wings to operate. That allows for Brandon Ingram to get his 40, and it'd be a smooth game for them offensively.
I guess, again, this goes back to a point I made in one of my videos. I don't see the point, I guess, of getting LaMelo like that unless we have a clear, concrete path of what we're doing in the future.
Yeah.
I really think, and it's not even just Melo, it's other players right now too. Because I agree with you on Drew Holiday. I think he's more detrimental than beneficial. But the problem to me is, it makes no sense for us to say we're going to go move Drew Holiday and we have no idea where we're going. So we're going to go move Drew Holiday and go get a player who is similar to him, and then we're going to be in the same situation again, but he's cheaper. Like, is that what we're going to do? Or, like, to me, that's the whole problem. Number one. Number two, we don't even have a coach. It's great for us to sit here and talk X's and O's, but what if they bring in a coach and they say, nah, I don't like Lonzo?
Yeah.
Or nah, I don't like Zion like playing like this. Or I don't think. How does the coach feel with what they have in New Orleans too? So we can go sit here and say, let's go get Melo. But what if the coach is like, I don't like the Ball family like that, or I don't want to play them like that?
Yeah.
All that in heaven and earth won't matter until we establish what we're going to do in the front office and how we're going to build this team moving forward. Because personally, I think the team should be built around Lonzo, Zion, and B.I. I think their that'd be a championship caliber core. But do they feel the same way? That's the question.
Yeah.
So we see how Denver built their team. They took time, patience to develop those guys, and we see what they did in the playoffs. But if you're going to sit back and play this like the Lakers are like, okay, let's just grab some players and then let's move them out to try to get the best players out there in the market later on and win a championship, I don't know about that. And I don't know how Melo would fit in with that. And that's not even talking about, Lonzo and B.I. and Zion. There's some people who want to trade them all on Twitter. We've seen this and we've discussed this and heard about this. So, that's just how I feel about it. Let's shore up what we're going to do first for the future before we start picking players and other things.
Hey, Jay, you're breaking up.
I'm sorry. What was the last thing you heard?
Jay.
Yeah.
No, I heard you before we start picking players and we just need to know what our future is like. I heard you.
Okay.
But I totally listen. I get it. I totally get it, and that's why they do definitely need to trade you, but they do need to have a actual plan and what they can do with that and make it for winning, because like you said, the Pelicans. What are they a win now team? Are they want to get to the playoffs team? Because this year they proved that they're close. They're a get to the playoffs team. So I think I understand where you're coming from. If they get a LaMelo, what are they doing? Are they just expanding the years? You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was giving DJ a chance to speak.
Oh yeah. It's here's the thing, and what Jay Stroke said, and let's put this all the way out there.
Yeah.
The reason why I do not feel it's necessary for the Pelicans to make an attempt to trade up for LaMelo, because they don't even know their direction, and I would rather LaMelo play for a team that has a direction, that has a way of development, than the Pelicans. Like example, what if the Raptors trade up for LaMelo? I'll be ecstatic. LaMelo with Nick Nurse. Can you imagine what Nick Nurse can turn LaMelo into? That's the type of team I want him to play for.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The Pelicans are my fifth choice of team that I would want LaMelo on. But I wouldn't want him on the Wolves. I'm just hoping the Wolves trade that pick.
And I think the Wolves were talking about getting Wiseman anyway, which is odd considering they already have Cat, but I guess they moved Cat to power forward, which would be interesting. But, if they basically got Melo, this is the Lakers again before they traded, D'Angelo Russell, because they were going to have Lonzo and Russell in the backcourt. So
that would have worked.
Under Luke Walton,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Like, you know what's crazy is that people keep acting like Lonzo can't play with an actual point, like another point guard, and that's getting tiring. He could play with another point guard. He's not like a Luka type guy. He doesn't play like that.
I mean, he played with LeBron, and LeBron is
Yeah, and
basically.
that worked well. I don't get why people like, and I say this to Sweatbox, I don't get why people like Sweatbox thinks that Lonzo is just as good as Luca and all this stuff. And I'm like, calm down. We're fans of the dude, but let's not go crazy.
I think Lonzo is equal in certain aspects, like IQ and passing. I think they're pretty much equal. And outside of that, I think Lonzo's a better 3 point shooter. Hell, the stats back it up.
Yeah,
But I think the quality of Luca's experience
yeah.
is is better than Lonzo because Lonzo has a couple years of pro experience while Luca's been playing since 15. So
Uh,
he's really Luca has what maybe a 25-year-old in the NBA as far as experience should have
but
compared
I,
to Lonzo.
but I'll also say Luca when it comes to, which is why I like LaMelo so much. When it comes to manipulating the defense, Luca's top tier. Like, defense always has to be aware of what Luka does. With Lonzo, he is a table setter that makes the right decisions that will not allow for the team to go crazy. But when a defense guards Lonzo, they don't have to worry that much what he's going to do. He'll take a step back three. He'll do a simple cross move. Sometimes he'll go for a layup, maybe two times or three times in a game, barely. And he's kind of a guy you don't have to worry too much about defensively. I mean, offensively.
And I gotta say this: the difference between Lonzo and Luca on 3 point shooting is Luca. He even though he shoots 32%, it's a weird stat. On the threes you need to make the win, he makes them. It's the weirdest thing. So he'll miss a couple, and then he'll make that timely three that can change the whole game.
Not only that, like he takes threes that kind of forces the defense to have to foul him, or he'll take threes to manipulate the defense so he can find a pass. Like he makes the defense panic in a sort of a way. Like that's why Luca's threes are, he can have the relaxation of just shooting 32 and no one badger him about it because he has a way of using it to his advantage.
And the funny thing is, I am formerly a Mavs fan, so I was here throughout the Dirk days and everything, and I'm still a Mavs fan at my core. But the funny thing about I think Luca and some of these other guys in the league benefit from being a media darling. Lonzo, since he's come in, has been kind of, admonished mainly for his dad. But no one talks about the bad threes that Luca makes or the fact that he has a low percentage, with the exception of some people like maybe Skip Bayless occasionally. But Lonzo can basically sit here and have a bad shooting night, and it's like, oh, he's a terrible 3 point shooter.
Oh my gosh, you're so right.
Lonzo is shooting what 37, 38% this year, but nobody is talking about how great of a 3 point shooter he is. Luca is shooting 32%. Oh my God, he is the greatest 3 point shooter. He's got a deadly three. So
Oh,
which is it? Is he going to be a good 3 point shooter or a bad? Why can't we keep that same energy for Lonzo when Lonzo was shooting 32%? But now when Luka shoots 32%, he's a great 3 point shooter.
Jay,
That's part of the problem.
I totally agree with you. And the Pelicans media does not help it. Like I was hearing dudes say things like, "Oh, is Lonzo shooting real? He had a spurt." I'm like, "Are we serious right now? Is it real? He's shooting it." Like they discredited him this whole year on everything, but they would praise people like Kendrick Williams. They would praise people like Frank Jackson. Oh man, maybe we should start Frank Jackson over Lonzo. It was crazy. The You are totally right. Like Lonzo's criticisms is beyond crazy. Like Dude shot 37% from three, above league average, better than a lot of players, and we still treat him like. And like, I'm still hearing people like, "Why would we trade for Lonzo? He's bad at shooting."
Yeah, I'm tired of the buffoonery from the Pelican media. There's no objectivity. There's no balance, and their uh, criticism of Lonzo. It's unfair, and just because his father is LeVar and they want to take it out on Lonzo, I already get what they're trying to do. It's not right at all. They look at the field goal position, the field goal percentage, and they say, "Oh, he's shooting 5 for 11 or 5 for 15," but they're not realizing most of those are missed layups. Like
Yeah,
he'll shoot 2 for 4, or 2 for 5, or 3 for 6, but they don't count out the missed layups. He has to work on driving to the basket better. That is true. But
like
for 3 point shooting, that's not even a problem.
yeah, DJ. Like I'm not even saying Lonzo. For me, I don't think Lonzo's ever going to be like some superstar, all-star type player. But like we have to acknowledge his talent he brings in the team, and that when Lonzo is not on the court, that team is trash. Like, and the thing is, they try so hard to ignore him. And anytime like Drew Holiday or Lonzo play great defense, they will just give credit to Drew Holiday and say, "Oh, he stopped this guard." And I'm like, they'll leave out Lonzo. Dudes were saying Lonzo didn't really have that great of a defensive year. And I'm like, what are we fucking watching? Like, what is it we're watching? Like, even in the bubble, he was abysmal offensively, but he was still giving you great defense, especially on their. You remember Fox, right? When they were playing? Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
remember, every shot Fox had on Lonzo, he could not get over Lonzo. But as soon as Lonzo sat the fuck down because of dumb substitution, they put Frank and Jackson on Fox, and Fox was eating him alive. They put Drew Holiday on Fox. Fox was eating him alive. But you know what they said? Wow, Drew needs to get on the court. His defense has been crazy. And I'm like, are we like blinded by just the hate on Lonzo?
And with that, it's like I think some of this comes from media pundits don't actually know how to analyze basketball, and some of them just look strictly at the numbers, but they can't articulate. Okay, like they'll say, "Oh, Fox had 35 points," and they'll say he won the matchup against Fox. I mean, against Lonzo, but they won't say, "Oh, Lonzo held Fox to 1 of 8 shooting when he was guarding him." They're going to pick and choose and cherry pick the numbers that fit the narrative. It's why I think Lonzo could sit here and average a 24-point triple double, and they will still find a way to say he failed in some way, simply because they just don't like him. And it's unfair to him. And this happens with a lot of players in the league, and it pisses me off personally. But it's like, okay, what more does he have to do? What more does he have to do? He can only do so much. Are you guys going to be fair and give him credit when credit is due? Or are you just going to sit here and say, okay, this is who I ride for, and I'm going to boost them and screw everybody else? Damn the rest. This is the hill I'm going to choose to die on. I don't care if it's right or wrong.
Exactly, because no one brought up Juju Holiday's horrible start of the season. No one brought that up. They said, "Oh, it's just a slow start," like if Drew Holiday was some kind of fucking rookie. Like they treated Drew Holiday like a rookie and Lonzo like he was a 10-year veteran. It's crazy. Like every time they played a top tier team, I knew Drew Holiday was gonna have a bad game because he'll beat up on like Bulls and a few teams, but anytime they play top tier teams, he would struggle. But no one said a damn word.
No one said anything about it, bro. And it's really funny. I remember when the first teams, like first, second team, third team came out, and Pelican media fanboys were just complaining that Drew wasn't on the list. Of course he wasn't on the list. To Drew's standards, this was not a good year by him. Offensively, defensively, it's pretty obvious. And I question, do they even watch the games?
Of course, because yeah, like, I question it too, because it's like you would just sit, and I know I don't hate Drew. I think he was the second best skilled player on the team. But like there would be moments in the fourth where I'm like, just pass it to Brandon Ingram, please. Pass it to Zion. Make the offense a little bit easier. But he wouldn't.
Part of my problem, and that's what I think that's part of my problem with Gentry this year is I don't think they ran an offense that benefited the players they had. If you're dead set on running Etuan and Frank Jackson and some of these other guys, then adjust the offense so that they can shine. Because we're trying to play one way with the starters, and then we start bringing in substitutions, and now everybody's all out of whack. You
Exactly.
know, you only got one true legit passer, and that's Lonzo. Yes, Bi can pass, but over a long stretch of games, and we saw this with the Lakers,
Yeah.
he is not a point guard. So if that's the way you're going to play, the team needs to be on board. You need to have your chief set aside and the pecking order set aside and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. When he's on the court, he's running point guard. You're here, you're here, you're here. B.I. Zoe or B.I. Zion, you guys dictate the show. Lonzo, you facilitate. Drew, you're an experienced vet. You set them up. You make sure you make their job easier. Favors, you get out there, you play hard, you D up, you get rebounds.
Yep.
And that's what's going to happen. And then when Etuan Moore comes in, okay, Etuan, you good in the one-on-one game against certain players. This is what we're going to do. We're going to run a pick and roll. When they switch, when they get the big on them, take them to the basket. Everybody space the floor at that point. This is how we're going to take advantage of your skill set. But if you're not going to play that way and get the most out of your players, don't keep trying to force the issue. Frank Jackson can't throw long court balls like Zoe. He's not. He's not that. Drew can't either. Drew can pass a little bit, but he can't do it to the degree of Lonzo. Just like Etuan Moore can't score like Bi. He can put the ball in the hole, but if they can't do it, don't force them to. Put them into the best position to win.
Yeah.
And when it comes to getting a coach, I want a coach that's going to do that. I don't want the favorites. I don't want the favoritism. I want the other stuff. Even if that means Zoe has to sit on the bench at times. Put the team in the best position to win. In my personal view, if you get a coach who is going to do that, you're going to get the best out of Zoe. You're going to get the best out of Bi. You're going to get the best out of Zion. And any player who does not fit into that, get rid of them. This is a business after all. Play your dogs, play your horses, get a competent coach, and move forward.
And you're exactly right on that. Like, I wouldn't be mad if Lonzo came off the bench either if they created a offense that was winning. Like Lonzo could be the Gordon Dragic, where in the season he'd come off the bench. Like I'm okay with that, but create an offense that makes sense. And you made that point clear because there would be times where like I think the best substitution game this whole season was in the bubble when they played the Grizzlies. I didn't see 1 second of Etuan Moore on that court. I saw a little bit of Frank Jackson. They brought in Josh Hart as the sixth man. They put Melly, they put a few players in, but not too much. You know what I'm saying? And it was a stable playmaking type of offense that worked. You remember the Grizzlies game, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember that was the first game I didn't like bitch about Gentry's substitution because most of the season he would do this thing where he sits all three Drew, Lonzo, and Brandon Ingram down so he can put down Nicola Melli and Frank Jackson and like Etuan Moore. And it would just the defense would go to hell, the offense would go to hell, turnovers would be crazy. And and that's I agree. It just make the team play together, make it, I agree, man. Jay got it all correct.
Yeah, man, my boy Jay, he's a real one. I'm glad he's on the show. One thing about coaching, who do y'all think should be the head coach of the Pelicans? I think between Kenny Atkinson, I know Mike D'Antoni's out there. There's people that don't want D'Antoni.
No.
I just want a coach that knows how to win. games and to the playoffs, and we'll go from there. Kenny Atkinson, I think that would be a great addition. I don't know why Brooklyn fired him. I think probably because KD and Kyrie want their own type of coach, and they had that plan a long time that they didn't want Kenny to be their head coach. But
DJ, the
yeah,
same reason they think DeAndre Jordan is a better starter than the center they have. Favoritism.
Jared Allen.
Know anything about what's going on with the Nets right now.
wait. Let me say this: if the Nets are not going to start Jared Allen next year, give it to the Pelicans.
Oh man, the Pelicans.
I'm serious.
Man, I would that shit.
Okay, to answer your question though, because you were asking who do we want as a coach. I'm leaning Kenny Atkinson. However, I think I might want to take a chance on Jerry Stackhouse.
Ah.
Something in me, it's like my mind is saying Kenny Atkinson. Go Kenny Atkinson. Go get him right now. But somewhere in my heart, I'm like, Jerry Stackhouse needs that coaching job. But again, this goes back to my point. How are they trying to view this team? If we're going to build this team going forward, go ahead and get Jerry Stackhouse.
Yep.
Go ahead and get him because it's going to take time anyway. He could develop the guys and get them right. But you could go with Kenny Atkinson and he could develop them, but Kenny Atkinson is going to come with more of a, okay, we got playoff aspirations like sooner rather than later. I don't think the leash is going to be as long with Kenny Atkinson as it would be with Jerry Stackhouse. And I think Jerry Stackhouse, because he's got those ties with B.I., I think he'll be beneficial to Lonzo too in the long run, but especially Zion. And that's what I'm most interested in because I don't think the Pelicans quite know what they're going to do with him. Because we heard David Griffin talk about, Ya's going to play, or he's got a shooting guard skill set, which he does. But is he hinting, I want the next coach to play him as the two? If that's the case, are we playing Zion at center? Is he going to be power forward or small forward?
Oh,
I don't know.
please not Zion center. Oh no.
That's where I'm kind of, and this is why what the front office does this offseason is going to matter to me a whole lot more than who they draft and who they get to fill in those positions.
Yep.
Because if you get the wrong, or if you get a coach that you want to do one thing, you're going to get players that's here for another, then we're going to have situations where, okay, well, I'm trying to get paid. I'm only here for a year. I need to get my money.
Yep.
And that's going to take away from Lonzo. That's going to take away from B.I. That's going to take away from Zion, from Josh Hart. And that's not fair to those players. If you're going to develop this team, do it the right way. We've seen what's happened with Denver. Do it the right way. So, but to answer your question, Kenny Atkinson is who my mind is telling me. My heart is saying Jerry Stackhouse.
Those are not bad choices. Two of those choices are really good. That's exactly the two coaches I wanted. I honestly wanted them to get Thibs, but he's already taken. But yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And I know Becky Hammond has been thrown out there, and I'm not saying no because she's a woman. She's earned her stripes, unlike other coaches such as Luke Walton, who was given a job without earning their keep. And we'll talk about that another day.
And he's
But,
not even going to get fired. Damn.
I know. And the Kings, I'm going to say this. The Kings should have kept Dave Yeager. If they would have kept Dave Yeager, they probably would have been an 8 seed. I'm saying that now.
But he's an asshole, though. That's what they say.
Sometimes you need that to win games.
Yeah.
All that likability stuff crap, that don't mean anything if you don't win games.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go back to this. I hope Becky Hammond gets a head coaching job. I just don't think it's the Pelicans. I need the Pelicans to get a surefire coach, a coach that's going to light this team up and have a direction. Like Jay said, there's no direction with the Pelicans. They don't know what they want to be. They want to be a playoff team one day, then the next day they want to be a real rebuilding team, and they want to lower the pressure. I get confused with this team. I call the Pelicans the chameleons because you don't know what you're going to get. They
Yeah.
pretend to be a playoff team, then they pretend to be a non-playoff team. And speaking of Zion, Zion needs to lose that weight. He needs to be at 250. He needs to stay away from that gumbo shrimp. You know how New Orleans is.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to stay away from that stuff. That alligator meat, you got to cut that off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think the Pelicans need to look to get to playoffs. They have their two stars already. They don't need to waste a couple years. They need to do it now. Bi
If they're
is a
gonna
star player.
if they're gonna pull that trigger, then they really don't need whoever they're gonna get as the 13th pick. And I would rather trade
Yep.
down or trade that 13th pick and try to flip that and maybe some other asset we may have, JJ Redick, Drew Holiday, to get those pieces that are going to fit alongside B.I. Zoe and Zion and Josh Hart, and that's your team going forward. So if we can get Jared Allen or somebody or stretch five, and you're going to say, okay, this is what we're running. We have Josh Hart starting instead of Drew or whatever, and Zion and Bi. That's what we're going to go with. Fine. I have no issue with that. Just whatever you do, make sure everything you do is for that. Don't half-ass it. Don't put a little. I put your left foot in. You put your left foot. No, don't do that. we go all the way with it.
Yeah. You know what? I wanted to ask this question. Would you trade JJ Redick and the 13th pick for a team option to open up cap space and then get the 27th pick?
I got a better idea, and I want y'all to listen closely.
Mm-hmm.
How about you trade, and this is going to definitely help the Pelicans. You trade Drew Holiday, JJ Redick, and the 13th pick to the Brooklyn Nets for Jared Allen and Joe Harris, a younger shooter, a 3-and-D player that will contribute right away, and then Jared Allen, who is a beast, and I think one day will be an all-star
Oh, he's a
once he
free
figures
agent.
it out. He's a
DJ.
free agent. You can
Yeah.
still have a clause. Isn't it true you could have a clause or something to trade?
Trading. I think I forgot.
Because
Kate,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sign and trade.
Sign and
Yes.
trade. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What y'all think?
I like that. I think they should get more from the Nets if they're giving JJ Redick and Drew Holiday though. But I like that.
I'm okay, but that doesn't address one of the problems to me, which is I think we were really light in the ass at forward this year. It was Bi was really the only true small forward we had, and then Zion wasn't there, so we had just Melly, and then we had the Three Musketeers for center, and we were oversaturated in guards. I think we had like 8 or 9 guards, and so if we're going to split Drew Holiday and JJ, which is fine, I need a shooter that's close to JJ Redick, but I need some depth and some athleticism behind Bi in particular.
Yep.
Because what I don't want to see is Lonzo, JJ Redick, Josh Hart, E'Twaun Moore, center. I don't want to see those line up. And this is where I give Gentry a little bit of a slight pass, because I said before the season started that our roster was shitty.
Yeah.
And we were going to lose to any team that had a strong front court. And we got swept by the Lakers, by Dallas. We got swept by the Magic. We got swept by OKC. All of them got signed.
Yep.
So I don't mind trading JJ and Drew, but I need some shooters And I need some depth back there because we can't have B.I. trying to guard, power forwards and centers back there. We
Yeah,
can't have
Hey,
Quan Moore trying to,
hey, Jay
guard.
Strokes,
Yeah.
I got a better proposal. I want y'all all to listen to this. All right, let's scrap that up. So trade Drew Holiday, J.J. Redick, and the 13th pick for uh, Joe Harris, uh, Jared Allen, Rondé Hollis Jefferson, who is a fantastic defender. And then in free agency, you do whatever you can to get Jamani Grant. You cannot tell me that team would be an upgrade if they make those moves.
I agree. I like it. Jeremy Grant is something they need to like key in on. I'm just saying because
So
he. Hmm?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Now I think because, like you said, Jay, like teams with like anytime they played Gallinari, OKC, he was giving them hell. LeBron James was giving them hell. Kawhi Leonard was giving the Pelicans hell. The only reason we beat the Clippers that one game, not we, because I'm not even a fan of the team, but like the reason they beat them at home was because Paul George isn't that deadly off mid range and he's easier to guard than Kawhi. But big bodies giving Pelicans hell this year, and they that's why Jeremy Grant, what you said, I liked it a lot.
My question would then be, what are we going to do with Nall and Jackson Hayes as far as the rotation and Josh Hart? What is the
Uh,
rotation going to look like with those guys? That's my only question before I say, yes or no.
nah, I think he could be. I hope because Nah has the ball handling ability to be a point guard. Like I think he could pass. He just needs to work on like decision making. But I think that'd be a great. Not a great, just okay with Josh Hart, with Josh Hart's hustle. That's what I think. Maybe.
Yeah, Josh Hart is definitely going to be retained by this team. Josh Hart does the little things right. You can always count on him. I
But
love the chemistry with him, Zoe, and Bi.
but
Uh,
to Jay, oh, sorry.
oh, it's okay. What was you gonna say?
Nah, but to Jay's thing, I don't know. I'm not as high on Jackson Hayes as a lot of people. I don't know how to answer that one for you, man. Uh, I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess
And
for me, oh, my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, my bad. I was gonna I'm gonna let you finish what you're saying, then I'm gonna bring up another topic.
Okay.
Okay. So my thing, and this bothers me a little bit. We put all this. We basically drafted Nall and Jackson Hayes, and it's like you got to kind of play them. You know what I'm saying? You drafted them high. Where were they? 8 and 10 or 4 and 10? I can't remember. But and one of them should have been DeAndre Hunter, but we ain't gonna get into that. But
Yeah.
we drafted these guys. We're gonna have to develop them and build them. And I like Nall and I like Jackson Hayes, and I think they could be very good pieces. But at some point, they're gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do with them. Because if you're gonna say we're gonna play them, then I don't see how we're not developing going forward. And if you're not, then why do we have them on the roster? We might as well trade them. And I could name some teams that probably would want them. In particular, Jackson Hayes. There's some teams out there that want a center. Golden State. But that's just my view on it. I don't think they're bad players, but if you're gonna play these guys, you're gonna have them in rotation. You're gonna have to develop them because they need work. And if you're not, then they don't need to be on the roster.
Mhm. DJ, next, you wanted to bring up the next topic?
Yes, this one is about. I want you to two guys to give me like um, top 5 destinations for LaMelo and what will fit and make sense.
Uh, um, That's hard for me. Okay, I'll go first.
Oh,
Raptors number 1. The Suns number 2. Uh, whew, okay. All right. Someone else go because I'm stuck on Raptors and Suns.
I'll help you out because you already got one or two of mine. DJ knows one of mine already. Orlando. And I've
Oh, okay.
been paying it for Orlando for a while. Melo needs to be in Orlando. He needs to be in Orlando. And I know everybody's going to say New York, and I got that. But Orlando already has the pieces. They're basically a perennial playoff team in the East. With LaMelo and some of the other pieces they have to get that offense going, they're going to be a problem in the future if they manage to get them. Will they be able to get them? Probably not. They end up having to move heaven and earth and get rid of some pieces, maybe Aaron Gordon. But Orlando is the spot I would most love to see LaMelo in because they're going to give him the ball. He's going to get the shine, and he's going to change that culture, and they're going to rally behind him.
I like it. I like that because it allows for LaMelo to be able to be ball dominant while not having to shoulder and trying to get them to the playoffs.
Oh, definitely. Orlando, people don't realize they have one of the longest teams in the NBA. They kind of built like a poor man's Denver Nuggets in the Eastern Conference. You'll take that to the bank as making the playoffs.
The second team, Jay?
Okay, so you got Phoenix, you got the Raptors. Believe it or not, I like Miami. I gotta think for these Florida teams, but I think out there, Coach Spo in Miami with what they got out there, they got shooters, Bam, Jimmy Butler, and you gonna put LaMelo at point?
Shoot. I love it, but I know it's not gonna happen because they don't have any pieces to get rid of.
They might have some pieces to get rid of. You know.
I agree, Jay. The reason why I agree with Orlando because Orlando has a actual there's a reality in which they can just get rid of Eric Gordon because they're already talking about trading him to the Warriors and get LaMelo. With the Heat, I'm like, all of their players are either really too talented to be trading away and they're about to go to the finals with them, or just not good enough to be trading to get, the number 1.
If I'm Miami, I say you can get anybody besides Tyler, Bam, and Jimmy.
I like it.
Because that's the core. You can get anybody else on the team. You want Duncan Robinson, you can get him. If you want none, you can get them. If you want Dragic, you can get them. You want the pitch, you can get them. But those 3 cannot be moved. That's the only way I see that happening. But I don't think they'll be able to pull it off.
Yeah. And your fourth one? Because I'm liking this.
So Chicago just got Billy Donovan. And even though they have Kobe White, I could see maybe a 3-team trade with the Celtics to send Kobe White to the Celtics. And Chicago would draft LaMelo Ball to replace Kobe White, and he'd be the starter. Next to Zach LaVine, Laurie Markkinen, and Wendell Carter Jr.
I sort of hate it. I hate that one for some weird reason. And I know, it's a good fit basketball-wise, but, the team's maturity for LaMelo, a player like LaMelo, the other teams, the reason I agreed because they have veterans who can make LaMelo better, who can gear LaMelo in the right way. The Bulls, I don't, But
you got Billy Donovan, who's a proven coach. Zach LaVine wants it. They got weapons. I think the culture in itself will be defined by them winning because they're going to be in the East. And with LaMelo, they're going to play fast. And with Billy Donovan, he's going to make sure they're right. He's going to teach them. They're going to play basketball the right way. I think when LaMelo, because everybody in the league knows how talented LaMelo is before he's even taken a step. Like we've heard it from KD, we've heard it from pretty much everybody. They know what LaMelo is. So LaMelo's going to come in day one, and he's got Zach LaVine to him, Wendell Carter Jr., Larry Markkinen. He's got Billy Donovan as a coach, and he's in the East.
And Jay, I like that because it allows for LaMelo to not have to be a good shooter or great shooter and still be effective with the Bulls.
And he takes the pressure off of Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine doesn't have to take on all of the duties of the team. And now you can space the floor. I can easily see LaMelo at the top of the key. Larry Markkinen comes sets the pick. LaMelo crashes to the basket. Zach LaVine is open. The help comes off Zach LaVine, kicks it to Zach LaVine, 3-point shot. Or same scenario happens. Zach LaVine gets the ball. They crash on Zach. Larry Markkinen is open.
Yep.
And then you can run LaMelo out. Like there's so many options that will get the most out of everybody's game. I think they will complement each other. And for me, my team choices are based on chemistry and how they're going to play. I'm not basically picking on who I think I guess is going to have the highest chance to get them. It's what is going to work and be effective. Because for me, it matters more about team chemistry and parts versus all the others. If it works, I want it. Period.
Yeah, everything you said was like the best. It's true. And you know what, DJ? I want to be Mr. Negative and say my 5 that I know he shouldn't go to because Jay gave a great emphasis on what 5 should pick him.
Oh, absolutely. I want to hear from you.
Oh, Knicks number 1. I'm a Knicks fan. I love the Knicks, but they're the worst place for LaMelo to go to. They're the worst. Because I saw their shooting practices, and they're not. If they don't get rid of Randall, they keep RJ. It's going to be a hard team for LaMelo to get any passes towards. That it's not Mitchell Robinson. I just don't feel like the culture that they're trying to go for fits LaMelo, style. And then the second team would be the Wolves. The Wolves, to me, are just like the worst place for him to go to, like the second worst, because their stars are kind of like their attitude, just what they're going to seep off to LaMelo. Probably not the best team to go to. The new coach they have, I don't think he's a good coach. He basically got up because he knew someone. I don't like that whole setup, especially in Minnesota. Number 3, the worst team. This is a team that just makes me sick, and I know they're somewhere around there. The Wizards. The Wizards, the worst reality for him. They don't even know what they're going to be. They're all over the place. They already have a bad defense, and I don't think Melo's going to be a horrible defender, but I don't think with that team that's going to help. Then my last team that I would hate for him, and that I think I changed my mind on because I thought about it more, the Pelicans. And I know I was preaching the Pelicans should take him, but then I had to change because Jay brought up a big point, like they need to know where they are, and I don't think that's a great developing area for him to get his own. So there I go.
Man, you hit it in the nail. And for the Pelicans, I gotta say this because I know a lot of people on Twitter the other day were just preaching that LaMelo needs the Pelicans and the Pelicans need LaMelo. That is false. Neither of them need each other. LaMelo doesn't need the Pelicans. The Pelicans don't even know who they are right now. They have no identity, like Jay said. They have to work on themselves before they can even get a LaMelo Ball. And I don't believe in trading Brotha, which is your star player, for anybody. That is the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Oh, man.
And they would never do that.
And we need to address a lot of dumb shit that was said on Twitter that really got me mad. That I couldn't even comment. I had to message DJ about it. I just couldn't comment on it.
Oh yeah, man. It was a lot of buffoonery. I want Jay to address some of that stuff as well.
Um, and I'm gonna be honest, I probably blocked more people on Twitter than I care to talk about. Like, it's so sometimes I don't get all of the, I guess, the dirt or the details unless I hear someone sidebarring about it, But some of these trades, I know there was one where they were trying to get Spencer Dinwiddie and Jared Allen for Drew Holiday. And I don't know, maybe people think Drew Holiday is a perennial all-star and a franchise-changing player, and he's a good player, but I think that's a little too much. That's just me. And I'm not going to get into the whole because I've seen Michael Porter Jr., Bo, Gary Harris for Drew Holiday and a pick, and I'm like, what? What was this? Where is this Drew Holiday at that everybody is talking about? Where was he all season? This is the guy. This guy is up there with Hoodie Mello as far as off season theatrics and whatnot nonsense because Drew's gonna be MVP level. I'm sorry, where? When does that happen? Hold on, what? Nah, no. And some of these trades don't make any sense. It I don't even know. It don't make sense. I don't get it. I always ask, okay, who's going to benefit from this trade and what incentive do they have to do it? Well, they need, KD and Kyrie need Drew. Do they really? Do they really? Look at the talent on that team. Honestly, going forward, they keep who they have and they'll be just fine. Do they really need him?
They don't.
Okay, so what? Oh, well, Denver needs him. Okay. Who is he going to replace and what is he fixing on the Denver Nuggets? Because clearly they just made it to the Western Conference Finals. And they only took one game, really should have been two, but we're going to talk about that botch switch at the end of the game that got AD an open jumper. But I don't think Drew fixes the problem there. You can say, okay, yeah, they could use him, but I mean, what they need is an answer to LeBron or AD, someone that can bully them. What they need is Montrezl Harrell probably to be an enforcer. I could see that, but I don't get how Drew fixes the issue. I would be better if you said Drew going to Orlando. I'd be like, okay, I could see that happening. That makes sense for both teams. I could see Eric Gordon playing for the Pels. I could see how he could fit. But as far as for Mo Bamba or Jonathan Isaac, which they're probably not going to trade, but we can get into that. But, make that make sense to me. Some of these trade propositions it's to me, it's just like fanfare. Like if we're in NBA Live or NBA 2K, we're trying to sit here just, what kind of BS can I pull off today?
Yeah.
Drew Holiday for KD, LeBron, and AD? Sure.
Jay, it's tricky because a lot of these trades either underrate Drew or overrate the hell out of Drew. And it's like you want to find that perfect balance. And what makes it harder to even make a trade is that Zion is a complete non-shooter. So you would need like DJ said, you need a versatile big. And everyone seems to forget that and say, let's just get this other guard or let's just get this defensive anchor that big. It's like, no. It's tricky because, like you said, no, the Nuggets are not going to give up MPJ for fucking Drew Holiday. I'm sorry. That's not happening. I don't care how bad MPJ's defense is. He is a bucket. There's no way in their right mind they would give up MPJ for Drew Holiday. Maybe last year, but no. Also, if the Pelicans...
I have to point this out, man. If the Denver Nuggets get rid of MPJ for Drew Holiday, they all need to be drug tested for crack because you would never, ever, ever do a move like that. That young man is is one of the futures of the NBA. You don't trade him for no agent Drew Holiday.
Also, it's bad for the. And I know this might sound crazy, and I'm higher on MPJ, but the reason he works for the Nuggets is because they have good defenders. Like if he goes to the Pelicans and they bring in Bol, that's a horrible defensive team. That wouldn't even make sense for the Pelicans. They'd be just LeBron would just get anything he wants. Who does he get to choose? LeBron's like, oh, BI's guarding me, MPJ is guarding me, Bol is guarding me. Oh, who's stopping me? Zion? You think it was worse this year coming on defense with these big teams? It wouldn't be any better.
And that goes back to the whole point about what direction the team is going to go in, because and I get it. There's a lot of people who fan over Drew, and there's a lot of people who want Drew out of there for Lonzo's benefit, and I don't think that's the right mentality to have either way. I think if you're going to keep Drew has to be on a lower contract, and he has to understand that he is now a role player for the greater good of the team.
I know. Yeah.
And if you're going to trade Drew, what you're getting must be complementary points or parts that benefit the team as a whole in the way they're going to play going forward. So you're not getting pieces that you could just pay for a year and they're gone. You want to get pieces that are going to be there for the long run and play several years, and they're going to develop team chemistry. What you don't want is a lot of makeover every single year like LeBron teams have. LeBron is just a great player; he can work with that. But you want continuity, and that's one of the things that hasn't benefited the Lakers trio since they've been in the league, because they came in and it was one way, then they got LeBron, and now they got the Pels, and now they're going to get a whole new system and coach, and you need to have consistency. That's one of the things that has benefited Orlando. That's one of the things that has benefited Denver. It's one of the things that will be benefiting the Mavericks and a lot of these other teams going forward. So, you're going to have to be level-headed about this. The time to have traded Drew has already passed in my eyes. They should have traded him at the trade deadline. That time has passed. So if you're going to trade him now, you're not going to get the value I think you would have got back then. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to trade him, if you just feel so strongly that you have to trade Drew, then make sure what you're getting works to the benefit of Zoe, Zion, and BI, because at the end of the day, those three are going to determine your championship aspirations more than anybody else.
Yeah, I do not pity being in David Griffin's shoes right now. That, I do not envy it, what I'm saying. Like, that is just, there's so much. It just stinks for them because they're not like a bad team. They're not that terrible of a team where they could just be like, let's just add picks. And they're not that great of a team where they could be like, well, let's just trade all our good players, for a great guy, So they're in this position where they have to make minimal moves to get better.
Oh, that reminds me, real quick. There was a trade scenario of Zion and Giannis Antetokounmpo I saw earlier a couple weeks ago.
That's dumb.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. Let me ask you: would you make that trade first of all? Would you trade
Pelicans? Yes. Pelicans, yes. The Bucks, hell no. No. The Bucks, no. Because when you're trading away an MVP for a guy who's been injured most of the time and can't get into shape, why would I do that?
Yeah, that would be a horrible move. It'd be great for the Pelicans, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
they'll
Pelicans
definitely make the playoffs. But you're not. Zion has become Zion Williamson into Sherman Clump Williamson because he can't seem to stay in shape. I don't know if that good New Orleans cooking is getting to him, or when the bubble started and you see him looking he looked like he was 300 pounds. He could move up and down the court, look big boned, just couldn't defend. He cannot switch on defense. And I root for Zion because I think he's a great kid. But there has to be a nutrition plan for him. Like I always state, he has to be at 250.
If like honestly, if Zion continues this path, he's going to be a more advanced Julius Randle. Really good at scoring. He's a dog when it comes to offense, but defense doesn't even try. And I don't want that.
And I think part of the problem with Zion is going to be what is his role to your team because he's a 6'6" power forward. He's going to be undersized no matter what, and he really can't shoot right now. So he's very limited in what you can do. And so, for him to get rebounds, he's going to have to exert a lot of effort. Plus, I think he's got a learning curve because the athleticism in the league is different than it is in college and high school, which I think has been part of the problem for him defensively, along with getting used to it and being healthy. So my question would then be, what purpose does that, like, where is he going to fit as this team's, superstar? Where his value is? Are you going to run him as another ball handler? Like, how are we developing him? What is his quote unquote ceiling? You know, and
Well,
and how does that affect Bi and Lonzo? Because I've heard talks about all like people have been theorying how he fits. Me personally, I think he's going to be Blake Griffin on steroids.
yep.
That's me. And is that a superstar player necessarily?
Well, the thing that when you said that, I liked it because Blake Griffin is injured with the Pistons, but when he's on the Pistons, he became more skilled. And when Blake Griffin is healthy, they're a playoff team. So that's a good thing to hear. But that's also the East, though.
And I'm a fan of Blake Griffin. I think he's a great player. He was undervalued on the Clippers because CP3 had the ball,
Yeah.
but he had obvious holes in his game.
Okay.
So much so that I don't think it would ever allow him to be a true superstar. And by superstar, I mean a championship winning player on a team, like the guy. I don't think Blake Griffin will ever be that guy. He's probably a two more than anything. He's like a Robin, but I don't think he's a Batman. And I really don't think there's that many Batmans. There's really only, to me, as far as superstars, Bron, KD, Kawhi, and Steph. That's it.
Here's my thing, though. When you say that, I say that I'm not a Zion hater. I just think he's a second guy on a great team. He's not a star player like everyone hypes him up to be. He has too many limitations. He doesn't have like Bi. Even when he was not that great his first and second year, he showed that he could shoot a certain kind of shot. He had a certain skill that most playoff teams have as their number one guy. Zion is a ground pound kind of guy who just like the problem with people like that, even with Giannis, is when they convert their energy, they're easy to play in the playoffs. They're easy to lock down in the playoffs. So
This is
I agree with you there.
this is the reason why they got to get Jermani Grant. They just got to get an official three. Brandon Ingram, let's be honest, he's a two guard. He only played the three so they could play Drew Holiday and keep everybody happy. If
Yeah.
they keep, if they put Brandon Ingram at the two and get a legit wing, so Brandon Ingram doesn't have to guard LeBron James and wear him down all the time, that will make a total amount of difference, and it will be an exciting season for the Pelicans. I wish they could just do that instead
And,
of just these
and
weird lineups.
yeah, and the thing is, like, the thing that Blake Griffin has over Zion is that Blake Griffin's like how tall? Like 6, like 10?
He's 6'10".
Uh, yeah, 6'10".
That's a big advantage because Blake Griffin you can sort of put on LeBron James. You can't put Zion on LeBron James. Like I saw that. That just can't happen. Um, so Zion makes your roster creation really hard to do because you can't have like a big center with Zion playing while Bi is on the floor because it takes away from Bi's ability to get mid-range shots or double teams or just his ability to score. So it's really tricky. Like this is really tricky.
So who would you rather pioneer or run the team? Would you rather be Bi or would you rather be Zion? Like
Bi
who the alpha?
who Bi. I would rather be. What did you say? Sorry.
Basically, I'm asking who is the top dog on the team? Or it's
Bi.
like if we're moving advancing 5 years into the future, who is the best player, or who do you want to be the best player on this team? Do you want to be Bi? Or do you want to be Zion?
Bi. I just Bi. Like the way the playoffs have been showing off with Jason Tatum, LeBron James, all these long with like players. Bi. Zion is entertaining. He gives you great dunks. He's great with post moves, but like he's also someone where teams could be like, hey, just literally just stop, stop him. Like we can easily have him turn over the ball. With Bi, it's like he's gonna make you have to guard. He's gonna make you go, oh shit, we have to double team him at the mid range. He is a legit 3 level scorer. He's a threat all over the floor.
I think I think for the Pels to be the best version of themselves, Zion is going to have to get a jumper.
Yep.
And even if he's only shooting like 36%, 35% from three, that's fine. But he has to be his role to the team is his gravity along with Bi, like they're supposed to work that 2-man game. But right now it's kind of they can't really do that because all Zion can do is just run to the basket. But if Zion can actually knock down threes and he comes to set that pick, that hard pick for Bi's beating whoever. It doesn't even matter. Zion's that pick is gonna set up Bi to do whatever he needs to do. And if you got Lonzo who's shooting 41% from three, they can't help off him. So now you got Zion at the top of the key. If Bi needs to pass, if he can knock down a shot, or he can go make his one-on-one play. But I think those two, their games are going to have to play off each other.
Yeah.
And the most important thing for Zion, I think, is offense. Even if he's never going to be good defensively, give me 25 points, 26 points a game on efficient shooting. If that's what he's going to be, we'll make that work. Play Bi as shooting guard, his link of bomber. Everybody hard, and it doesn't matter. All the important, relevant shooting guards, he'll be a matchup nightmare for him defensively, even if he's slow.
Yeah.
And let Lonzo basically be the linchpin. He's the glue guy. He's gonna fill in all the holes for both of them. Whatever they can't do, he will be the one that seams them together. And that's where that's where they're probably going to be at their best. But in closing situations, Bi gets his one-on-one, and when they start pressuring him, Lonzo with the pass, Zion makes his play. There's not going to be a tangible answer for those three.
Yep.
If they develop properly. I just don't see how you could defend all of what they do because Zoe with experience, he is going to get the best out of everybody on that floor.
Yep.
And Zion is going to be too much to handle down low with just one person. Like, he's ripping the ball from Giannis. He's boxing Steven Adams. He is going to be hell on earth down low. He's going to beat you up. And Bi, if he gets that KD cerebralness, he's going to have a psychological advantage. He's like, oh, hell, here we go. Here we go. Is he going to post up? Is he going to step back? Is he going to go off the dribble? Is he going to dive? Okay, where's the help? Where's Zion at? I don't know how you defend that. I really don't. Like, going forward in the future, if they develop properly, I don't get how you defend them. And that goes back to Lonzo. Lonzo definitely has to be able to score. For the benefit of both of them, he has to get that part of his game up.
Yeah, man, Jay's preaching. Like, he says everything I've been thinking, but in such a in basketball terms, man. Everything he said is true. Everything. Wow, man. Thanks, man. Just. Oof.
That's why I brought him on the show. It just more authenticity, and that's why you two are one of my favorite follows on social media. Y'all just know basketball, man.
DJ, no, I'm a casual fan. Like, I'm just a casual fan who doesn't hate. So that's as much as I know. Jay sounds like he actually is done though playing it. But DJ, you gonna timestamp the subjects we have? Because man, this is like a lot. Because the playoffs, the Heat, I was right, DJ. I was right, man. I was right all along.
Oh, we're gonna talk about a lot, man. I'm enjoying the discussions. Uh, I mean, hey, man, if y'all willing, man, we could definitely keep rolling.
Oh,
I wanna talk about the before we get with the Heat subject.
okay, yeah.
I had a discussion with a lot of people about next year and that the Western Conference will be a bloodbath.
Oh
And I
my
don't
God.
know who will win the Western Conference next year. People still think the Lakers are automatically going to win next year. You don't know what moves people are going to make. You're hearing Steve Ballmer is going to unload the clip, literally, to acquire some players. And then you got the Mavericks. Don't let them get a couple players.
Yeah.
You,
Here's the thing. If LeBron doesn't fall off a cliff and the Warriors don't come full force, the Lakers might have a chance again. But like we have to think about the Warriors. Like Clay and Steph are coming back. And like they don't turn over the ball. They don't do goofy ass passes like a Danny Green or a Kuzma does. So they have a team. Now their bench is trash. That's the only thing the Warriors have to worry about. The bench is garbage. So, but it's still going to be. Oh, the West is a bloodbath. The West and D'Lo and Cat are going to actually play a bunch of games together. You're right, DJ. It's going to be a bloodbath.
So the West is going to be a bloodbath, but I the question I guess I have is the trade because I think Paul George is going to be on the move. I don't think the Clippers are going to keep him. I don't think they're going to keep Lou Williams either. I'm looking for both of them to get moved this offseason. And that power dynamic is going to shift because they're going to have to replace them for somebody with Kawhi. So who's going to be Kawhi's running mate? That's what I'm interested in seeing because that is going to shift a lot. Now, the Lakers, their guards cannot guard Steph and Clay. And so if there's a matchup, like Dame and CJ are okay, but Steph and Clay are another level. And I can assure you, the Lakers do not want Steph and Clay in the first round. They want no part of that. Huh?
Third quarter Clay.
Not even. Steph and Clay aren't afraid of LeBron. They beat him. They beat him before. They beat him with KD. They're not afraid of him. They're going to give it to him. But they don't have anybody to try to slow them down at all. And what they do, like, are you going to put AD out there? Okay, fine. They got Andrew Wiggins now. And I'm not saying Andrew Wiggins is a great player, but Andrew Wiggins has enough to where he can go in and actually get buckets on the inside if he don't have to deal with AD.
Yeah.
I think they may trade him. And they may look to trade him and the second pick to get another player. I heard Ben Simmons, which if they get Ben Simmons, it's a good game.
Oh, damn.
It's a good game. Or Joel Embiid. If they get Joel Embiid, good game, league. Pack it up.
Jay, I'm more hyped about if they get Ben Simmons because he could be a small ball 5 and his defense is crazy. And he doesn't have to be the best shooter like Philly.
And the thing about Ben Simmons, and I've been telling people, he's a point center. He's really supposed to run point guard on offense and play defense at center. That's what he's supposed to do, but he can't do that with Joel. But if you put him on Golden State, they really don't need Draymond at that point. So they can move off of Draymond and Wiggins and that pick, and now you can go get the depth you need. So that's something to look out for. But if D'Antoni takes over, I don't know how he's gonna value Embiid and Ben Simmons because I heard a report saying that they're gonna look to move Embiid, which is odd because D'Antoni teams like to shoot threes and Joel can shoot them. Ben can't, but that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Sacramento is going to be better. Bagley will be back healthy. Fox is working out this offseason along with the rest of the team, so they're going to be coming.
The Sun.
Phoenix showed their ass in the bubble. Phoenix is not going to be played with next year. You know, Ayton showed he can knock down shots. They're going to be coming. The Pelicans, we've seen Lonzo working out. I haven't seen anything from Zion yet, and I need to go see. I need to spend some time today to see if he's got any workout videos going on. But the Pelicans should be better. Like, the entire West is going to be better. I don't think the Lakers are going to get to 1 seed this year. Hopefully there's not any injuries, but I think the Spurs are going to fall off more. OKC is probably going to fall off because CP3 probably won't be there. And it's going to be fun to watch, but boy, if you want that 1 seed, you got to work for it.
I got to point this out. This is how tough the West is. So the Wolves, who are going to be projected as last place Western Conference team, right, next season, have D'Lo and Karl Towns and some young, good talent. If they were in the East, they'll be a playoff team. No kidding.
For sure.
That's how tough it is. So this is the reason why LeBron James, as you could tell, he's going all out. He's playing a lot of minutes because he knows next year is tough. So if he gets this Laker ring this year, he doesn't have to win next year. They will be good if he can win next year, but he'll be the first player to win rings for 3 different teams. So that's already set in stone. So that's why he's going hard in the paint in the playoffs, because he knows tomorrow's not promised, and next season is going to be all the analysts have said next season will be the hardest year ever in the West, and I believe it.
Yeah, the East, man. If I'm a rookie in this draft, or like I'm crying my way to the East, man. I want that second contract, and I don't think the West is a place you want to be a rookie in.
I'm gonna tell you this too. People, the path to the title is going to be harder because KD's going to be back, and KD's already, it's been a year since that injury, so he should be good to go. But all this extra time is just giving him time to work out the kinks. So normally they say you need about another year, 6 months or so after the injury and playing to get right. KD, when the league starts back up, is going to be ahead of schedule. So you're going to get Kyrie and KD back at the same time. And I still stand by this. KD is the best player in the game. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but there's something to be said about a guy who's 6'10", has Kobe's basic skill set essentially offensively, and can get a shot over any and everybody efficiently. I don't get how you can have LeBron and AD, but none of them can guard KD. And I think at the end of the day, if there's a Lakers versus Brooklyn, I'm picking KD. Because there's not going to be an answer for him. And there's not going to be an answer for Kyrie either.
Yeah. And
none of them can guard him.
And if the Lakers want to be competitive next year, they're going to have to get rid of Danny fucking Green. They're going to have to find a way to get rid of Kuzma. They're going to have to find a way to get rid of those dudes because they bring nothing to the table when the times get tough. And next year is not a time for them, like LeBron, to like nurture these dudes. He'll figure it out. I think he's already looking to make some moves.
I mean, shoot, judging how he was speaking to some of the players that he kicked out, like that he beat. Yeah, LeBron's definitely gonna make some moves. He's not keeping that roster. He's gonna get some dogs.
Stay at home forever. I'm sorry, JaVale McGee is washed. Like I don't know why they gave up Zubac to keep JaVale McGee happy last year. That was one of the weirdest news stories I've ever heard. He brings nothing. Dwight Howard, great resurgence story, but like, man, they're gonna have to find a way to change up this team.
I think they got rid of Zubac to get the guy, Scola, or whatever his name was. I can't remember his name, from OKC.
Muscala.
Muscala. Yeah. That's what they wanted. They wanted more shooting to help LeBron, and that's why they did it. I still think I'm a fan of JaVale, and I would want him on my team. But, I mean, if they're going to play AD at center, who are you going to pick out of JaVale and Dwight?
Take out?
Yeah, like if you're going to play AD at center, who are you going to keep? Basically, this is my question. It's like to the Lakers. If you're going to keep AD playing him at center, are you going to – because you're going to have to rotate. So who's going to be there, Dwight or JaVale?
Dwight.
Exactly. And so there's some teams that could use JaVale McGee. So I could easily see, you know what? Something just occurred to me. Brooklyn could sit here and say, okay, we'll get Drew Holiday, we'll trade, not Karis LeVert, but Spencer Dinwiddie and get Drew Holiday, and they may try to get rid of Jared Allen, or they might try to get rid of Karis LeVert, and they might take on JaVale because he's experienced and he's played with KD.
Oh yeah, that experience thing. I think that's negative, but for some reason NBA's veteran players always think that all NBA veteran players are like the best, even when they're not.
Well, they understand the positioning and the nuances. Like when Lonzo and Bi finally get into the playoffs, they're not going to understand certain positioning aspects in the playoffs. That you only learn through experience. How to get around things, how to manipulate certain things. That stuff you only get in the playoffs. So when they first get into the playoffs, I don't expect them to be good.
Mm-hmm.
But look at like Denver. Denver has been in playoffs like the last 2 to 3 years, and progressively they have gotten better and better and better. And now we've arrived at Jamal Murray. So it's going to take them time once they get into the playoffs. But I can see why you want vets because vets know how to play in the playoffs. And when it comes down to it, there's Jason Tatum, and then there's Goran Dragic and Jimmy Butler, and they know how to play in the playoffs. They know what it takes to get it done.
Yeah.
Tatum does. Tatum may be a supreme talent, but talent only gets you so far without proper experience.
Man,
Luka has the talent and experience because he's played overseas in a professional league, so he kind of has it. Same with KP to some degree. But Luka was busting the Clippers. He was busting them.
Yeah, that Luka series made me realize how least valuable Paul George is in the playoffs. I just was like, nah, he has to go.
Paul George, he's good, but his game in the playoffs doesn't transfer the same way. It just doesn't. You could take him out of his game, and basically, if he isn't knocking down shots, he can play defense. But when Paul George is cold, he's 2 of 17 cold. He's not, okay, you went 5 of 13. He's I got 2 points this game. That's how cold he is. And for him to be a quote-unquote superstar player, that's not good enough. Especially when you can be taken out of your game like that. It's getting to the point I don't even know if he's necessarily a Robin anymore.
That's serious. You think he's a third guy?
No. Paul George playing worse than the Robin. He's playing like an Alfred.
Man, nah, I don't mean to be mean, but the things that Paul George says and does also makes me go like, yeah, he's not the guy. Like when he acts like he didn't really want to compete, even though when they lose, like, oh yeah, we really just wanted to leave, and then all of the other teammates are like, that's a lie. It's like this guy, I don't know. Then the way he did that documentary about the Lakers, saying, oh, I love the Lakers, and then fake moving, just everything about him just is off to me.
Well, Paul George ain't the cleanest guy because I think he smashed